Well, let's stay with this because Al-Makhadhi is a Syria analyst. He's in Geneva following the talks, and I asked him how there can be any real peace if the two sides disagree about the future of President Assad.
Well, no, it doesn't seem like they are going to be negotiating the future of Bashar al-Assad here at these talks in Geneva. Instead, what Lakhdar Brahimi, the UN envoy to Syria, seems to be pushing for is greater humanitarian access. So that means greater access to the areas which are currently besieged in Syria, and also prisoner exchange, release of political prisoners on both sides. So it seems that he's pushing for smaller deals, confidence-boosting measures in the short term before they address the larger issue, which is, of course, the future of President Bashar al-Assad. The opposition has said that under no circumstances would they ever countenance a continued rule of the president. And on the other side, the regime delegation has said the exact opposite. They said that they're not here to discuss the departure of their president. They're here to discuss the end of terrorism, by which they mean the end of the continued armed opposition inside Syria.
At all international negotiations like this, it's quite often what's happening on the sidelines that can eventually lead to something major breaking through in the main conference room. Do you get any idea of what Russia might be doing, of what Qatar and Saudi Arabia and the United States may be doing? Is there anything going on that gives you an indication they could be helping?
Well, the negotiations have moved away from the broader international focus to a narrower Syrian focus now. So the negotiations are solely focusing on the two Syrian parties in this negotiation. But of course, they did open a couple of days ago with a broader international conference. And there are greater hopes that even if the Syrian parties can't come to any kind of agreement over the future of Bashar al-Assad, that the international players, the sponsors of both sides, Russia and Iran on the one side, and the US and Saudi and Qatar on the other side, will play ball and will come to some kind of agreement. The big problem here is that Iran was not invited. Iran was disinvited because there was such a controversy over their attendance at the conference. Now, if Iran had been invited, we could have potentially seen a broader international agreement. And on the other side, on the Western supporting side, Qatar seems to be playing a very negative role, doesn't want to participate, doesn't support the idea of talking to the regime of Bashar al-Assad. So there is a long way to go. And of course, on the ground as well, the Syrian coalition, which is here representing the opposition, doesn't represent many of the fighters on the ground. Daesh, which is the Islamist rebel movement, the armed militia inside Syria, doesn't support the talks and isn't here and wouldn't sign up to any peace agreement even if one was signed.
Al-Makhadhi speaking to me from Geneva.